What you guys, got another video here for you on how to make Windows 11 better with no software at all. So is it possible that we can turn this operating system into something a bit more usable and a bit more nicer without downloading any apps or any scripts? Now we're running Windows 11 25H2 here, and quite a few people just don't trust scripts or don't want to run anything on their PC. And if that's you, then you can still do it. Now, as long as you're running Windows 11 Pro, you can use the Group Policy Editor. If you're not using Pro, you can use the Group Policy Plus program for home users. Inside here, there is a ton of settings that you can go through and configure Windows to your liking. The best thing about Group Policy Editor is it completely disables everything. And this is what a lot of these scripts are doing. They're just going to be enabling policies or even enabling registry edits to stop telemetry and also turn off features that you don't need. I've already done videos on this, but if you want to see a full updated version of that video, then let me know in the comment section and I'll go through the whole list of this. It might take about an hour, but I'll be happy to make that video and keep it updated. And I'll even save the files for you and upload them to the Discord server as updated files for 25H2. As you can see right here, Recall and Copilot and all the other bloat that is pre-installed on Windows can be disabled and turned off inside the Group Policy Editor. And for the people that keep asking the same question over and over, this is how I optimize my operating system. I do not download any form of scripts off the internet and run them on my PC. I will use Group Policy Editor. I will then export all of these settings so I can just import them very, very quickly if I need to do so. And you can go through here with a fine-tooth comb and take your time. I have made videos on this and you just need to watch exactly what I'm doing. And that way you can disable what you want rather than running a script that has been configured to basically disable everything. This will allow you to take back full control and disable what you don't need and remove what you don't need. It's that simple. This is the easiest and best way to optimize Windows. And the reason why I say that is because so many people will run a script or run an application and then go to run, say, for instance, Xbox or at the Microsoft Store, and of course it's been ripped out or disabled and it causes them a lot of problems and they end up having to reinstall Windows. So doing it this way is probably the safest way of doing it. So rather than go through every single version in this video because it will be too long, what I'll do is I'll import some settings that I already have into the Windows operating system. This is a fresh install of Windows 11 25H2 and all of the settings will be disabled that I want to disable. And this way it will speed up the process. So these are the files right here. They're quite easy to create and you can export them like I've got here. And then when you install Windows, you can just import them straight into your Windows directory. That way you don't have to spend hours or an hour optimizing Windows. You just go to this location here. You will need to show hidden files, folders and drives, and then you just go into your System 32 and then look for your actual folder which will have group policies in it. And you can clear this and put in your own group policy settings inside here and restart the PC and you'll be up and running. And all of your personal settings that you've set for your PC will be put into place. No more running someone else's script off the internet, which they decide on what you should disable and what you should leave enabled, because at the end of the day, that will cause you problems if it starts disabling things that you don't want disabled. So here we have all of the settings done, and there might be a couple that I need to update, and I can always do that for you and then leave these files if you wanted to download them. I think they are on the Discord server. If they're not, they were on the previous Discord server, and I can re-upload them for you, but I will need to re-update this actual file for 25H2. Okay, so let's now move on to the next step. After we've dealt with the group policy, we will be able to move on to the next step, which is checking some of the settings. So if you look here, this is a fresh install. If we go into privacy and security, you will now see all of these settings are set and managed by our organization. That is the group policies that are set in place. None of these will be able to be turned back on. As you can see here, even after a Windows update, these will stay off. They will not go back on. As you can see, I've left the microphone and I've left the camera because some people use their microphone and some people use their webcam when they're streaming. So I've left those two features. But again, you can disable these if you don't use them and completely disable all of that stuff inside here. So all of that stuff has been turned off. Like this one here, you can see all turned off and grayed out, so you can't return them on. And that's exactly what you want. Some of them scripts don't even do this. It just leaves these bits, on, and you have to physically still go in and tweak it. But using the group policy method, you don't have to. Now, game bar and stuff like that, I've left enabled. I've not touched it because some people want them features enabled. If you don't, you can turn them off in group policy. Now, let's talk about the applications next and remove some of the apps. Now, because we're not using any programs or anything like that, and we want to do it, we're going to have to do it manually. And this is not that difficult. A lot of people make more of it than there needs to be. All you need to do is go into apps, into installed apps, and then go in here and uninstall what you don't need. How easy is that? Okay, fair enough. A script will make this a lot easier and remove a lot of stuff. But to be honest with you, less can go wrong by doing it this way, and people can take control of what they want to uninstall and what they want to leave on the system. If you don't use it, uninstall it. That's simple. No more broken Windows because you are taking control yourself, and all of this is completely reversible. You can download these applications and reinstall them if you want to, because all you're doing here is using the built-in uninstall feature on Windows. Now remember, some of these will not be able to be uninstalled this way. You will have to use the command prompt or PowerShell or something like that, and I'll quickly show you that a little bit later on. So go through here. Now, if you're one of these people that don't want any sort of apps that are tied to, say, Microsoft, then you'll need to uninstall these like Paint and, say, for instance, like Movie Player, and then you would have to obviously download an application in replacement of that, like VLC, or for Paint, there is another Paint version which you can download for Windows 10 that doesn't have all the AI. And as for Notepad, you can use either Notepad++ or even use the older generic version of Notepad and remove the AI version. So that way you're sort of debloating the system from using the AI, which is Copilot on everything. Removing all of the Microsoft apps that are linked to that sort of stuff will basically limit the amount of telemetry that they can harvest, like movie and TV and stuff like that, news. All these apps will be harvesting information, so just remove them and use alternative ones if you want to, if you feel more comfortable doing that. So let's go ahead and I'll finish this off and we can move on to the next step. So the next step, you can just remove any sort of leftover icons like LinkedIn and stuff like that. Just uninstall that and remove it. The Microsoft Store can be uninstalled. Microsoft Edge in some countries can't be uninstalled. Some of these are key components or core components that are embedded into the operating system and won't allow you to uninstall them. Some of them you can use PowerShell to remove. So inside your settings here, let's go to taskbar, and you'll see we can change the look of this right here. All you need to do is just turn off some of the stuff you don't want here, and you can see all of the settings have been set nicely. There's some additional settings we can look at here, but the do not disturb is turned off here. We're not going to be having any sort of notifications, which is something that I don't like on the system. Again, additional settings might be able to change some bits here on here, which is to do with their advertisements. So make sure all of this get tips and stuff is all turned off. All of these Windows experience and welcome experience, turn all that stuff off as well. And remove any sort of stuff that you're not using from the system, like here inside set priority notifications. And you can get rid of some of this stuff if you don't want it, remove it from there. And that way you're not going to get bombarded with notifications and things like that if you don't want notifications coming up on the screen. So I'm going to remove those. Calls and reminders, I can uncheck those. I don't need to show reminders and things like that for VoIP calls and things. I'm not using it on this system, so I can remove those right there. So that is that part done. So let's go back and we can look at the other areas here. All of these like focus and stuff, they're already done by the group policy. If you're one of these people that are worried about your clipboard, then turn clipboard off in group policy like I've done here. Turns it off and they won't harvest any information from there, and just remove snippet and use an alternative one as well. There's plenty of them out there that you can download and use. I'm turning off snap windows. I don't need that on an ultra wide screen. Your power plans you can set in group policy and force it to use a particular power plan if you want to. And you can see these have been set by group policy, and it will be grayed out so it can't be tampered with. If that's what you want to set up, you can do. You can leave that if you wish. But there's some other ones on here as well. Inside here, let's have a quick look inside start. Just want to quickly make sure I remove some of this stuff here, because I don't need any of this stuff. Show recommendations or anything like that. That's just another way of nagging you and bombarding you with stuff. Inside the folder section right here, this is where you can add some customization to the menu. So I'm just going to turn these ones on for shortcuts on the menu. And I'll leave the personal folder right there. Go back. And we can put more pins on as well. So we're reducing the bottom part of that. I'll do that in a second. Let's go into developers here. There's another one here like end task. I want to put that on as well to end a task. That's quite useful. So let me just quickly toggle that on. And yeah, we've got that pretty much done there. Now, another area that people like to tamper with or tweak is inside here. Microsoft have buried it now, but inside here, you'll have your advanced area. So go into advanced, and inside your performance tab right here, your visualizations. And again, you can customize these. I don't waste my time with this. I mean, it's very, if you're on a really old system and it's, you know, a low end system, then you might want to tweak some of this stuff. But on a modern day computer, it's not going to make much difference in my opinion. But the choice is yours at the end of the day. Let's go to Explorer and go to this PC, 3 dots, options. Inside here, I'm going to set this home to this PC. And we also want to remove some of this stuff here for office.com, clear all that stuff. And again, we're going to apply that view. I've already got the show hidden files, folders and drives turned on, and take out the check mark so we can see the extensions. And right here, we can click OK here. When we open this back up, it should change the look. I prefer this look myself. You don't have to change that if you don't want to, but that's the way I like it. So yeah, phone link. If you want to remove this, let me quickly show you this just in case, because people will always ask. At the end of the day, some of these are core key components of Windows and they don't like you to uninstall them. That you can uninstall them, but Microsoft don't offer the uninstall feature for some reason, and they don't want you to uninstall it. They obviously want you to use it. And this is when you plug in your phone to your computer. If you do use it, then leave it alone. If you don't want to use it, then you can see right here in the advanced options, you can terminate it, but you can't uninstall. They've removed the uninstall feature for this, but they do allow you to uninstall it via PowerShell. And this is a simple bit of code you need to type in. And some of these can be removed, and that's what I'd advise you to do. There's plenty of lists out there on the internet, so just do a bit of searching and you should find them like I've just did here. So let's go ahead and do this one right here. And once you've got them, save them in a notepad and keep them safe in your installation setup folder, and you'll be able to just do what I'm doing right here and it will remove it from the PC. That's simple. No applications needed. You can do them all manually yourself, or you can set up a batch file if you know how to create batch files, and it will do it all in one swoop. But we're talking about no software, no scripts here, and that's why we're doing it this way. So in your startup settings here, let me just quickly do more pins here, because I said I was going to configure that because we did have all of this set the way I like doing it, but I just want to reduce that bottom part to have more pins on there. There we go. Next up, startup apps. Make sure you remove all of the startup apps. Auto Runs is a really good application that gives you more control and allows you to remove certain stuff if you want to use Auto Runs. Again, this is a fresh install, so there's not going to be much here, but you definitely want to keep tabs on this and disable them. Edge is an absolute resource hog. It really is. So I would uncheck all of that stuff, updates and stuff, and just turn it off. And that way, update it manually whenever you need to. Otherwise, it's going to be constantly running. Inside here, the services, again, A lot of this stuff is set to manual. The ones you're really interested in is the ones that are running, because if they're running, they're using system resources. So if you're on an older system, you definitely want to turn off any ones that are running. Connected user and experience and telemetry says what it says right there. Just stop the service and disable it. That's obviously the harvesting of data and telemetry and sent back to Microsoft. So you can turn that off right there. There's a few others inside here that you might want to just disable and turn off. You've got the geolocation service. If you use the weather app and stuff like that, then don't turn this off because it won't know where you are and you'll get weather for somewhere else in the world. This way, if you don't want to be geolocated, turn it off. And there's some other ones like Windows Search. If you don't use the Windows Search and you're worrying about wear and tear on your SSD, then turn that off. I tend to leave that on, but if you want to turn it off, you can do. Another one down here is a Bluetooth. If you don't use Bluetooth devices or your computer's too old to even support a Bluetooth device, then you can turn this service off. But if you do need Bluetooth devices like for your headphones or your microphone or whatever it may be that's using a Bluetooth, then leave it alone. Otherwise, it's not going to work. This is the problem with scripts. They'll turn all this stuff off and it will then render your stuff useless because it won't work. And that's the problem when you set all of this stuff to manual, and it basically causes more problems than you need. There is other ones down here like Print Spooler, which is running. If you don't have a printer on your computer or connected to your network or computer, you can turn this off. But if you are using printers, then leave it alone. Otherwise, your printer will not work. It's that simple. And you can go through there. I have made videos on that, so I'm not going to spend too long on it. And pretty much we are now starting to get to the end of it. We're starting to see that the system is starting to be more responsive. We've removed a lot of stuff. And there is some bits on here I could go through and remove as well, but I'm going to leave some of this stuff here because obviously this is very minimalistic. There's not a lot on here. The Microsoft Store and all the other stuff is pretty much what you would use. I've got Google Chrome on here. I've just hidden the Microsoft Edge. You can uninstall it and force uninstall it. Unfortunately, that can cause issues, so be careful if you're going to do that. If you want to set up yourself the Windows Photo Viewer, the old school one, you can do. There's plenty of codes out there for those on the internet as well. And you can set up dark mode and all that sort of stuff in your settings, or just use a registry tweak right here. Just apply that. And you can download all the apps you need after the fact. But I'm not going to do that because obviously that is going to be something against what we've said in this video, which is not using any software. But if you do want to download them and install them in replacement for the ones you've uninstalled, then you would obviously need to do this. Otherwise, leave them on the system like Paint and things like that. If you want to do away with the Copilot experience altogether, then this is the best way to do it. Uninstall Copilot and use alternative software. Again, you're sending information back to that company that uses that software, so you're not going to avoid telemetry completely. All you need to do now is log out and log back in, and we should be pretty much good to go. And the system should be up and running and should be pretty clean. And again, you can stop even more telemetry by using applications like O&O Shutup 10 if you wanted to. That's probably as far as I would go if you need apps to stop telemetry. You don't need any of the other stuff on the internet. It's just far too much and you're going to end up breaking your operating system. This is as clean as you can get, really, using no software whatsoever. It's good enough for most people, and it stops you from breaking your OS. All of these settings are completely reversible, and you can reset all your policies if you want to. No more reinstalling Windows from running a script. You don't have to do all that stuff. This is designed by Microsoft, and it works perfectly fine. Anyway, that's about it. My name is Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. Just want to say a quick shout out to my YouTube members. I appreciate the support, and I shall catch you in the next video, or I'll see you on the Discord server. Bye for now.